Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Stella Olivia Kikoyo, and I'm the editor-in-chief of the Stellar Woman magazine. The Stellar Woman magazine is here to bring you thriving women's stories, knowledge, and experiences so that you too can learn one or two things, be inspired, make a change, and thrive in your life. We move knowledge from one woman to another so that we can raise up the consciousness to the possibilities that are available to all women. And in that way, we believe we shall be making the world a better place and a brighter world. So today we are thrilled and I'm greatly honored. And I don't know in which space I am in this very moment. You can hear and feel my excitement. I'm so glad to produce to you a stellar woman here on the show. It's Kim Kiyosaki. Welcome, Kim, to the show.
Oh, thank you, Stella. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. And many of you would know who Kim Kiyosaki is, but if you don't know, she is many things. She is an author, a best-selling author. Or a 2 times best-selling author. I think it could be even more than I am aware, but we're going to learn more from Kim herself. But she's also an investor, a businesswoman, a speaker, an international speaker, really a change maker in the world. We know so many things about Kim, but she's here to tell us more about what she is all about, and we're going to learn from her. I think you all know about Rich Dad, Poor Dad. That is one way to open you up in case you're hearing this name for the first time, but I know you're not. So welcome to the show, Kim, and let's kick it off with you.
Okay.
So who is Kim Kiyosaki? I know we know that little bit that we think we know. I've read some of your books as we are going to drill into them, but we want to know who is Kim Kiyosaki and what is your back story?
That's a big question, Stella. My backstory. I think I have always, since I was young, always wanted to be very independent. Even as a child, I remember riding my bike in the early morning Saturday by myself to go to a soccer game. And I was like free, I'm like on my own. And I was like, 12 years old. And it was like, I'm free and I can just do whatever I want. So I've always been very independent. Even when I went to college, I worked in college. Told my parents to stop sending me extra money because I was making money and I didn't need the money. So there was always something in the back of my head about being that money was a part of freedom for me. And I didn't really connect the dots until when I was in college. I graduated college with a marketing degree. Actually learned very little about business, much more about entrepreneurship, nothing about entrepreneurship. I started working in Honolulu, Hawaii. And after 9 months, my boss fired me. And I'm like, well, you can't fire me because I'm going to quit. She said, well, if you quit, you don't get your 2-week severance. I said, okay, so I'm fired. And the company hired me back again about a few months later. And this time it was only 6 months and they fired me again. And this time I realized it might be me. And I met Robert in 1984 and he asked me on our first date, he said, what do you want to do with your life? And I'm like, well, seeing as the way things are going, I'm really a terrible employee. I hate being told what to do and I want my own business. I said, but I didn't grow up around entrepreneurs. I know nothing about how to start or grow a business. And he said, well, I've started many businesses and all of my friends are entrepreneurs. And that's how I got started in the world of entrepreneurship. I love business. I still love marketing. I am now the CEO of the Rich Dad Company, and loving it. So that's how I got into the business world. I've been an entrepreneur since 1984. Started many businesses. Robert and I started several businesses together. Of course, the most popular is the Rich Dad Company, which most people know about. And when it came to investing, I didn't know anything about investing. I didn't know anything about finance. I didn't know anything about money. And Robert started talking to me, this is in 1989, about what his rich dad taught him about money, about real estate, about investing. And he said, okay, go find something. And I'm like, do what? Huh? And long story short, I found this little 2-bedroom, 1-bath house that would make a great rental. And I was scared to death. I thought I had to come up with $5,000 as a down payment. It was $46,000 and I didn't have it. And I'm like, oh my God, what if I make a mistake? What if I lose money? What if the roof leaks? What if the tenant moves out? All the what ifs. But something propelled me to take that step. And I bought that first rental property. And every month after I collected the rent, paid the expenses, paid the mortgage, I had a grand total of $25 positive cash flow every month. But that's how I started. And from there, bought more property. Today, lots of properties, commercial, lots of apartment houses, as well as other investments. But I just started very small, taking little steps. And I think that's what I propose for most people today, is just start small, take little steps, because there's a lot of learning in every action that you take. So that's a little bit about me.
Fantastic. So start small, take little steps, and you didn't have any knowledge as well.
No, I didn't have nothing about money. I knew nothing about business, even though I majored in marketing, but they really don't tell you what really happens, how you make payroll and how you bring on employees and how you find business and sales. They didn't teach you any of that. That was all. I had to learn that on the run.
Amazing. Thank you so much for bringing us to speed on where you started from. That's Kim's backstory. And to find her today being the CEO of Rich Dad Company and being a Times bestseller, 2 times bestseller, and also having so many investments. We don't know. We're going to find out how many, but we know there are just so many. Okay, so Kim, tell us, as an aspiring woman, what is your ideal stellar woman? What are your ideal stellar woman attributes?
Okay. I'll just tell you a quick story, so you'll understand a little bit about who I am. Several years ago, found out that there were some things happening in the company that were not stellar by any means, and needed to let go of some people. I was not in the day-to-day operations of the company. I was kind of more like a chairman. But I realized that what was happening, the company was going in a completely different direction than the mission of the company. The mission of the company is to elevate the financial well-being of humanity. The mission of the company as it was then was, how do we make more money and put more money in our pocket? That was never how Robert and I ever approached the company, the business. From day one, we never made a decision based on money. We made our decision based on the mission of the company. So I'm very mission oriented. I think that's one of my big strengths. And we had to let go of a lot of people. We had a small team left, and I sat down with them. This was a 6-month process, making all this change happen. And I sat down with them the day that it all happened and it all changed. And I said, I don't know where we're going to go. I don't know how we're going to get there, but we're going back to the mission of the company. We're going back to Rich Dad, Poor Dad. We're going back to the cash flow game. We're going back to the cash flow clubs. That's what we're going to do. How we're going to do it, I have no idea. And what happened is the team, I love working with teams. This team and I came together. We made a pact. We had our rules of the game, how we were going to play together. So team, to me, mission and team are two of the greatest, I wouldn't say skills, but team and mission are two of the most things important to me. You've got to have a strong team. If you're going to carry out a mission and a big mission, you need a strong team that's going to back you up and support in any way possible. And I can't praise our Rich Dad team enough. They jump in, they do whatever. They've already answered my question before I've asked the question. I don't have to do a lot. They take it on. So I think those are the two of the most important things. If you're looking at a business as well as investing, is what is your mission and who's on your team.
Oh, fantastic. You brought us to speed quickly into some of the questions I had for you at that time. So here, can we talk about two aspects? Is it being mission oriented as a stellar attribute? Mm-hmm. And the other, you are team focused as well.
Correct.
Fantastic. And your team is amazing, given that you asked the question before. You asked the question. That is amazing.
You know what else I'm going to say, Stella, about the team is because we've gone through adversities in our company, as any entrepreneur does. We face problems, and we've had our share of problems. So they've come through the fire with us. And so nothing phases them. It's like, okay, here's one more challenge. You know, the thing about being an entrepreneur, it's like the fast track to personal development, because every day you're facing a new problem. Every day you've got to come up to solve the problem. So that's one of the beauties of being an entrepreneur. I had somebody come in, wanted a job not too long ago, and she said, I said, what do you want to do? She goes, well, I don't want to fix I don't want to have problems. And I'm like, you don't want to have problems? I'm like, well, then why would we need you? Because all we have here is problems. Because as you take on a bigger and bigger task, you're going to have bigger and bigger challenges. So, which is,
that's a good way to tell someone whether they're in or out.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Thank you. And that brings us to the question still of elevating. Yes, the word is elevating financial education of humanity as Rich Dad's business mission, the company's mission. Why financial education?
Why financial?
Yes.
Because we're all about free. My core value is freedom. Since I was little, it's all been about freedom. So I don't think you can have complete freedom without having financial freedom. And I think especially for women, money has the power to enslave you, because oftentimes we marry for money, or our family, you know, whoever has the money kind of makes the rules. So money can either enslave us or it can set us free. So especially for women, because I believe that we are not only are we not taught, you know, about money or taught how to invest, we're actually taught from a young age. If you look at some of the stories and the fairy tales, we're actually taught to be dependent on a man or a family or even the government. We're not taught how to use money and make it grow and have it be a benefit to us. So I think it's all about freedom, and money's just, we use it every day. It's a tool we all use every day. When somebody says money's not important to me, well, then don't work for it and try buying something without it. Good luck.
Go anywhere. You want to go anywhere.
It's money. Learning about money is a life skill, and I don't think it ever ends. And it never ends for me.
It would end. Yes, definitely. Thank you. And it never ended. Actually, I wanted to ask you about that, about your retirement as well, because I know the aim was, I don't know if you retired. The aim was that you felt like you are going to retire, or you aim to retire at 35, or you retired at 35. I don't know. I had 37.
Yes.
I don't know which one.
No, it was, I had the choice. I could retire if I wanted to. I could retire because we were financially free at that time. And to that point, Stella, when I say I was actually I was 37, Robert was 47. When I talk to people about being financially free, they think, oh, we must have millions of dollars in the bank, or we've sold our company for a lot of money, or we have a stock portfolio worth millions. No, we had none of that. We very simply had every month from primarily our real estate, we had $10,000 a month coming in as cash flow from our real estate. But our living expenses at the time were only $3,000. So at that point, the money coming in from our investments and our assets were greater than our monthly living expenses. So at that point, we were financially free. And it was at that point, for the first time, I could ask myself, what do I really want to do with my life? So I knew I didn't want to retire.
Yes.
I still don't want to retire. I will never retire. But that's where Robert and I, after talking this through, and we decided, because people kept asking us, what did we do to become financially free? How did we do it? So one day we were talking, we thought, wouldn't it be really cool if we could create a board game? Because we love games, all kinds of games. What if we could create a board game that could teach people to do what we did? So instead of us traveling all over the world talking about it, people could play this game and people could teach each other how to get from the rat race onto financial freedom.
Amazing.
So yeah, retirement is not a word in my vocabulary, I don't think.
And this is the game, isn't it?
Yes, yes, that's the game, cash flow. And people don't know cash flow came before Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Rich Dad,
No.
yeah, we came out with the game in 1996. And
Wow.
Robert said, we need a brochure for the board game, cash flow. And so he started working on a brochure, and he kept working on it, kept working on it. Next thing you know, he has this book called Rich Dad, Poor Dad. That's how the book came to be.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. I always thought it was the book, the cash
Most
flow.
people do.
You got to know it way later on.
Yeah, most people think it's the book that came first.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. Thank you for bringing us to speed with that. Thank you. And now I know that you do a lot of work with women. First of all, the book, Rich Woman, and
Yes.
it's Rising Time as well. Both of them
Yes.
are focused on women, and as well as how I got to know you was through Rich Woman Summit. So
Yes.
I did everything #Rich Woman. So everything is about a woman here. And I want to know, why are you focused on raising financial literacy for women? Why women? Why are you choosing women?
That's a good question, because, I never grew up, I'm the youngest of 3 girls in my family. So I never grew up that being a woman was, and man, that one was more successful than the other, or I never grew up with that gender had any issue to do with success. So I never really focused on women originally. And what would happen is Robert and I would travel the world, and we'd be talking about Rich Dad and the philosophies and the concepts in Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And we travel all over the world. It might be Singapore, South Africa, London, New York, wherever it was. And after I'd get up on stage and I'd speak for a little bit to women about money, just for 5-10 minutes. But then afterwards, in every city, I would be surrounded afterwards by women. And I noticed that they all had similar questions and they all had similar issues. And I could tell there was really a demand, and there's a difference when it comes to money between men and women. And a lot of it has to do with education, although our education system teaches nobody about money. But I realized there was a demand, and that's where I thought, okay, it's time to start focusing on women and supporting women becoming financially secure and financially free. The statistics just, due to divorce, death of a spouse, or just bad money management, the statistics for women as we get older around money are horrible. And women often find themselves in a financial crisis later in life because they don't understand money. So that's what drove me. It was women all over the world that drove me to do something about this.
Oh, good. Thank you. Thank you for doing the work that we need.
Thank you. Thank you for being so excited about it. And thank you for putting on this program to teach women. Very important.
Because I feel it. I feel it even when I'm talking to women on different avenues of empowerment, all these things that you pulled out, especially the statistics in Rich Woman. Each of them, or I give you a few examples here, of 47% of women over the age of 50 will be single or are single and financially responsible for themselves. And also the fact that women's retirement income is less than men's, and mainly because they are away from the workplace longer than men.
Correct.
And it's a fact, but my brain had never really focused on those, although I pulled out those two. In the book, you have more statistics that are all alarming and shocking, and I think they can awaken lots of women.
And that's a great point, Stella. That's exactly why I put them in there. It was Rich Woman was written as a wake-up call for women. Hey, look at this. This will be you if you don't take charge right now. If you don't do something, you're going to be one of these statistics. So it really was written exactly as you're saying, as a wake-up call for women.
Definitely. And I thought I saw myself in many of the women in Rich Woman. Congratulations for such an amazing book. And I kept thinking, is that Martha? All right. Okay. I could think like her. I could have thought like this. And it's really a great book that definitely I should be bringing into a book club to be able to talk more about all those, because those are our stories. Those are our true stories. Every person would find themselves with a story that is connected with women. You share whose stories.
I love that. Yes, that's great.
It was amazing. Thank you for that. Now, I know that it's a best-selling author, you're a best-selling author, and I wanted to know what inspired you to write Rich Woman? I know that that's why you're dealing with women, but what made you go into writing?
Write a book, pretty much pretty similar as the story I just told you. I wanted to figure out how could I get my message out if I'm just going on stage. You know, if I have to travel and be the one presenting the information, it will not reach as many women as I want to reach. So I thought a book can get out to all the places where I cannot get to. So we have a philosophy that we follow at Rich Dad, and it's a principle by a gentleman named Buckminster Fuller. And he said, the more people we serve, the more effective we become. The more people we serve, the more effective we become. So we always at Rich Dad, we're trying to figure out how can we serve more people? How do we get our message to more people more effectively? So that's why I wrote it as a book. That's why we created the cash flow game. The cash flow game can travel all over the world to places that Robert and I will never get to.
Yes, yes, yes. And the encouragement is to play it even as a family.
Yes.
I tried, they were younger, but they're now older. And once I was reading the book, I thought, okay, it better come out again, because I think two of them were really young then, but now they're old enough to sit with me.
Great.
And
good.
talk about these things.
Oh,
because
wonderful.
I talked about them. You remember the book I bought you this time? Yes. Can you actually pull it out now? You're old enough to.
I love it. I love it. Thank you for doing that.
I Rich Dad
That's
one,
fantastic.
and I have a couple of them. So it's really raising all our consciousness. And as women, if we raise it, we are able to impact our children with
which is so important. I mean, you're the greatest teacher. So yeah, the more that you can teach them, that's fantastic. I'm proud of you. Thank you.
I was proud of the little boy in sorry, I might mix it up, whether it's in it's Rising Time, the boy who took silver into the classroom, who started to buy.
Yes, that was my friend's son. Yes, he bought a silver coin and bought several silver coins and brought it into to show and tell, to teach the class what silver is and why he bought it and what the price is today and what he bought it at. And it was a great lesson.
It is a great lesson. It's a great lesson to teach us that we can actually start that young. We can start that young.
Yes. Kids are so interested in money at such an early age.
Yeah, start them young. Thank you.
Yeah.
So this issue 10, is about wealth building. And we just wanted to know, I know these will be connected very much aligned to Rich Dad and Rich Woman's mission and work. We want to know, what does wealth mean to you?
Very simple. So we have a different definition for wealth. And again, this comes from this gentleman. His name is R. Buckminster Fuller. He was a visionary, a philosopher, inventor. He created the geodesic dome. He basically dedicated his life to the betterment of humanity. And he came up with the definition of wealth, which is a person's ability to survive X number of days forward. So what we do, Stella, is you look at and it's basically, if you stopped working today, so you had no income, if you stopped working today, how long could you survive at your current standard of living? So what you do is you look at all your monthly expenses and be honest about your monthly expenses, because we can lie about that very easily. So you make a list of all your monthly expenses, add them up. Let's say it's $5,000 a month of your monthly, that's how much you have. Then you look at how much liquid money do you have in cash coming in. So savings, CDs, anything that is liquid, cash flow from your assets, cash flow from real estate, cash flow from businesses, without you working. And what is that number? So for most people, they have more, without working, they have more expenses every month than they have cash coming in.
Yeah.
So what you do, let's say it's 5,000 a month is your expenses every month, 5,000 a month, and you have 20,000 in cash and other forms that are today liquid. So 20,000 cash, 5,000 a month. So you basically have 4 months of wealth. That's how you figure it out. So the goal is to have infinite months of wealth. So that's why cash flow. So we have cash flow coming in every month that's greater than our living expenses. And when it gets to that point, when your cash flow, as I said earlier, we had 10,000 to start, our expenses were 3,000. So we are infinitely wealthy. Yes. So that's always been the goal. That's the goal in the cash flow game, to have your monthly cash flow greater than your monthly living expenses. So that's what we mean by wealth.
Oh, fantastic. Thank you. Thank you. I think it's something that we can all understand. All our subscribers should be able to understand that you have to look at your incoming income vis-a-vis your expenses and how much you're over your expenses.
Correct. Because most people are counting on a job to handle all their living expenses. Well, what happens if something happens to that job? And a lot of people have experienced that in the last few years, who have lost their job or have quit their job. So the whole purpose is to, for the Rich Dad Company, for the cash flow game, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, is how do you have cash flow coming in from your assets? Have your money that you work so hard for. We work so hard for our money. So how do you have that money work for you and grow for you and give you the life that you want to have?
Exactly. Thank you. Thank you for that. Yes. So I loved, as part of the story in Rich Woman, I love the part of the story when you stop viewing investing as a hobby and it became a mission. It was so relatable. Could you please share with our listeners, our subscribers, just that part of the story?
Sure. So if you look at an income statement, you have income and you have expenses. If you look at a balance sheet, you have assets and you have liabilities. And of course, in the Rich Dad world, an asset is something that puts money in your pocket, whether you work or not. And a liability is something that takes money out of your pocket. So I was always taught to focus on the income column. Get a good job, get pay raises. If you work at an hourly rate, raise your rate, work more hours. It was always about how much income you could work for. And then one day, I had some real estate, and I kind of looked at it though as a hobby. It wasn't like my main source of income. And one day just the lights went on and I'm like, you know what? I think I'm focusing in the wrong place. Instead of focusing on acquiring income, why don't I focus on acquiring assets that create the income? And so that made all the difference. So I shifted my focus from working for income to creating assets, building assets. And that's what led me to become financially free.
Amazing. Thank you.
I think most people most of us are taught, focus on the income, focus on your job, focus on work, get a raise, work more hours, And it's a rat race. It's a rat race. And they never get ahead because they always spend pretty much everything that they make.
Exactly. There are more bills. And these days, there are more bills, lots of bills. They just keep going up. So the income cannot increase at the same level.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Your expenses are going up, but your income's not. So maybe there's another solution.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you. And with real estate, we know that you seem to be talking about real estate investment a lot. And it did a lot of, there was a significant improvement in your circumstance, financial well-being.
Yes.
Your investment. So we wanted to know, what are the key lessons that you could share from real estate investment that could help women embarking on this journey?
Oh, that's a good question. The markets, one of the things I've learned, the markets are changing rapidly right now. And I think, and I have no crystal ball, but I talk to a lot of smart people. And actually that's probably one of the biggest keys to success is who you surround yourself with. I'm really, really fortunate. I surround myself with a lot of very smart, self-made people who understand economics, macroeconomics. They understand the markets, they understand business. Very fortunate that way. So in real estate right now, we've had a big bubble, especially during COVID. Real estate went nuts. But there's a correction coming, we all believe. So actually right now, if I were looking to buy real estate, I would be looking, I would learn. And as I said, you start small, you take baby steps, You don't invest a lot, you invest a little, because you're going to make a lot of mistakes. And mistakes are how we learn. Mistakes are good things because it's how we learn. It's how we grow. But you're going to make mistakes. So start small. But I think, and my friends think, that there's going to be a lot of opportunity coming down the road here with real estate, because there's a lot of people with the banks, with the interest rates, with mortgages coming due. And I'm not talking so much commercial. Commercial is a whole nother animal right now because that's in serious trouble. But this is more residential, apartment buildings, warehousing, things like that. I think there's going to be a lot of opportunities. So a lot of people I know, they're acquiring cash and being patient until that time comes. So patience is a key. But I would right now start preparing. If you know nothing about real estate, do not jump in. Do not. You want to get education. As your knowledge and education goes up, your risk comes down. The more you know, the more experience you have, the more knowledge you have, the greater your chance of success. So if you're just starting out, again, start small, a little bit of cash, not a lot, take baby steps, small properties, and learn. And learn. The only way I know how to learn is through experience. That's the best way for me to learn. So what I do is if I want to learn about something, and especially in the world of investing, I take a little bit of money. You talked about a silver coin, go buy a silver coin today is going to cost you about, I don't know, $25 US. And I go buy what I want to learn about. So when I bought my little 2-bedroom, 1-bath house, I learned so much. I bought it. I studied it. I read on things. I did everything possible. I learned about property management. I learned everything I could with a silver coin. You take that silver coin, you're going to start looking at the price of silver every day. Is it up? Is it down? You're going to start reading about it because you have it, you hold it, and you touch it. So one of the greatest ways I learn about investments, I learn about business, is I get in there and I put my money down. I get in the game somehow. And if you get in the game, your interest level is going to go up. If I spend $10, I'm interested.
That's very good. If you're in the game, if you put in money, then you're going to have more interest.
Yes.
And
yes.
So you have to take baby steps. You have to start small, learn, and be patient. At this point in time, you have to be patient because you need the knowledge and you need the experience fast.
Yes. Very quickly, I'll tell you a very quick story right here in Phoenix. This just happened. A lot of people came in. We had an event in January. So we had the Super Bowl, Super Bowl, American football. We had the major golf tournament here, and we also have Major League Baseball spring training. So for some reason, this group came in, and I don't know who they were. Didn't know much about real estate, bought all these single family homes. And their plan was during this time, it's about a 2-month, 3-month time, they're going to jack up the rents. They're going to make a ton of money on these properties. And they try to raise the rents like 20 times more than they should be. Well, they failed because they didn't know the market. They didn't know real estate. They failed. And now there's all these properties coming on the market because they don't understand the game of real estate. So now you're able to pick up these properties for pennies because they just didn't know what they did. They didn't know what they were doing. They had no knowledge. They had no experience. So that's, if you want to be successful, people think real estate investing can be risky. No, it's not risky if you know what you're doing. We say, it's not the investment that's risky. It's the uneducated investor. So if you know what you're doing and you have experience, real estate doesn't have to be risky at all. I do not like to take risks with my money.
That's good. Thank you very much. Because I had that question for you in terms of not being the investment, not being the risk.
Yes.
The risk being you, because it made me pause and really think about myself, because I think you gave a situation where you had lost an investment. And that made you think about yourself.
Correct.
Yes.
Correct. Yep. Yeah. I lost an opportunity, and it had nothing to do with the investment. It was all about me and my fear and my hesitation. And what if I lose money? And and it was but because of that big mistake I made, it led me to one of my best producing properties that I own today. So that's the beauty of mistakes if you learn from them.
Yes, you mentioned that. You mentioned it's led you to the best investment that you've ever made.
Yeah.
That's amazing. That's amazing. But it made me really focus on myself as an investor and thought about the things, the issues that are within me. And many times you think it is the investment, it's actually you. And
Yes.
the only way to get around it is get yourself some education.
Correct.
Thank you for that. And so we have It's Rising Time is a bestseller as well, and such an inspirational book. In fact, I remember the whole introduction. I thought if I could only ask him so that I can always use all those words, they could be right. They were all, each of them was just resonating with me. I just thought, wow, this is what we all need to hear. The whole world needs to hear these words. So what inspired you to write that book?
It's Rising Time. That's easy. There were a lot of women I would come across. They read the book, they'd attend seminars, they'd get all excited about taking charge of their money, but then they never took that first step. It was like analysis paralysis. They never took that first step. So I wrote It's Rising Time to get women to take that first step, to get in the game, as I mentioned, to get started. Because it does you no good if you read about stuff and you study stuff, but if you don't take action, nothing happens. Einstein said, nothing happens until something moves. You got to move. Yeah, so that's why I wrote it.
Oh, fantastic. Thank you. I think it's one that would make all of us move. Now, in that, you talk about the fact that it's not for little girls or lazy time. What were you preparing us for?
To become financially secure and financially free the concept is easy. The concept, let me say, the concept is simple, but it's not easy. You're going to face, you have to make a big commitment to take on that task. And that's why I often say you need to have a strong reason why you're doing this in your gut, in your soul, in your heart. Why are you going to take this on? It's got to be bigger than I just want to make some extra money, because you're going to come up against challenges. You're going to come up against obstacles and setbacks. And if you don't have a strong reason why you're doing this, you're going to quit. Yeah. And I see too many people quit. So you need that strong reason why to keep you going. So when you hit that wall, do you fall down? Do you get back up, or do you stay down? So it takes time, it takes education, it takes determination, it takes perseverance, but there's nothing, it's so worth it because it gets you free.
Yes, so worth it. Thank you. And when we talk about the 21st century being a women's century in the same book, what is this? Because it's a powerful statement, and it's a way of driving us all to focus on it and realize that, yes, it's our time. But do you feel that this is happening? Is it happening at the moment?
I do. I look at the women around me that I surround myself with. They're strong, they're determined, they're successful. We have fun together. We travel together. We're often traveling together. We do book studies together. And the women in my company, I mean, we have the A team, and it's 3 women. We're the A team. We go in there and we make things happen, and we make it happen fast. But yes, I think a lot of the old stigma and the old education is starting to finally fade away. And I do see women coming up stronger and stronger. I see more independence. I see more tenacity. I am concerned about the generation coming up. There seems to be two pieces to this generation. One seems very entitled, like they want everything handed to them, which drives me crazy. But the other, and I have this in my own family, are very driven, want to be are entrepreneurial, are successful at what they're doing. So there's almost like 2 sides to this generation or generations coming up right now. So I really encourage people not to have that entitlement mentality, because it's very, very crippling to have that. We were having this discussion just the other day with some friends of mine. It's like a lot of these kids coming up aren't going to know what it's like to accomplish something, to have a breakthrough, to set a big goal and to have it come true. And that's what builds character. That's what builds strength. That's where growth happens. So I'm a little concerned about that. And it's up to the parents to do what they need to do. That's all I'm going to say.
Definitely. I can see what you're talking about. Definitely. That's the same that I see. They're those driven kids that you think, wow, they're making a change at such a young age. And then there are those that don't seem to have anything going for them.
Exactly.
They just exist. Yeah. Parents are there to look up to them. They're just sailing through the world.
Yeah.
Very good. Thank you. Now back to one of your aspects. There were two things I wanted to ask you about. One is this aspect about you that I think is so much you don't want to be told what to do.
No, never. It's a problem for me. It's a problem. Yes, it is.
And it's the driving force to entrepreneurship and your whole business journey and investment, because then you have your own, you put direction to where you want to go. Yes. Could you tell us more where how much it has driven you to the positive and how much it has affected you? Oh, good.
Oh, that's why I got fired from my first job. It's why I can be very stubborn. I can be very stubborn. But it also drove me to really be independent. I wanted that independence. I wanted my freedom. So it's funny because I was sitting with my girlfriend years ago when I was writing Rich Woman, and somebody asked, well, what's the subtitle? And I'm like, well, we haven't come up with it yet. And my friend Susie and I were talking, and we're kind of batting things around, and we're talking, and she's very similar to me. And I'm like, I just hate being told what to do. She goes, I do too. I hate being told what to do. And we went, and my friend looked at us and goes, oh, there's your subtitle. So yes, it's an asset and it's a liability. And I try not to have it be too much of a liability. I think I'm getting a little better at that.
You're getting better. That's good. Thank you. Thank you for elaborating on that. And now with financial freedom, you talk about that a lot. What does it really mean to you?
It means it gives me the ability to, it's about choices. I have choices. I have options. A lot of people don't have choices or options. I can choose to fly coach, first class, or charter. I can choose where I want to live, what city I want to live in. I'm not tied to a job. I'm not tied to a place. It gives me total freedom to be with people I want to be with, do the things I want to do.
Yes.
When I was working, when I had jobs, I had to do what not what necessarily what I wanted to do, but what I needed to do. And a lot of times you have to start there. But yeah, I think it's just about choices. It gives me choices.
I think it's a big one. And your examples are just perfect to tell us because the word could be misinterpreted, but when you talk about choices, it's so easy to understand. In that space to make choices.
Right. And for women, Stella, oftentimes, as I said, it can enslave a woman. A lot of times they don't have the choice. If they're not the ones making the money, or they're dependent on somebody else for their money, then they're kind of at the mercy of that person or people. I never wanted that.
No. I think no adult wants that.
I didn't think you did.
No, I don't like that. Even children.
I don't think you like that either.
They bother us even at this moment in time. They feel that they should have their choices if they're children. But I think no adult wants that. Need that independence. But the call that you give in all these books, the awareness that you bring to us, and the education should allow everyone to really understand what this means and why they should take that.
Exactly. Because it's going to mean different things to different people. Everybody's going to have their own definition of what financial freedom means to them. You know, it's like, I'm just launching a new podcast called the Rich Life Podcast. And I ask people, what does a rich life mean to you? And it means something different to everybody. So it's the same with financial freedom.
Definitely, definitely. Thank you. And now I was going to ask you about a woman who might feel that they're late to a party of financial, they've just awakened up, yeah, really. And what advice would you give them? Where can they start from? Because sometimes when you just awaken, you feel everything, you want to take up everything, then you're all over the place, then you become overwhelmed, and then you can't do anything.
Yes.
And then you give up.
Yes, that's a great question, because you're never too old. Number one, never too old. You can start right now. You can start today. You can start right now. Start with education, of course. Read a book, watch your show, listen to other podcasts, play the cash flow game, start learning about money, but start. And I would also start with a small goal. Once you start learning about money, you're going to find there's 4 asset classes in the world of money. There's business, there's real estate, there's paper assets, stocks, bonds, mutual funds, and there's commodities, gold, silver, oil, gas, things like that. And as you study more about the different asset classes, there's going to be one that's going to speak to you. And it's going to be, you're going to be like, yeah, this is the one I want to focus on, because you don't want to focus on everything. There's so much information. You got to pick one thing that you're going to be good at. For me, it was real estate. I liked it. I understood it. I could touch and feel it. I never understood the stock market. I never did well in it. I didn't have the patience or the time. I wasn't interested. If you're not interested in it, don't study it. And I say that with a caveat, because I hear a lot of women say, "Oh, I'm not interested in money. Oh, my eyes glaze over when I look at numbers. Oh, I'm not good at math." Well, get over it. Get over it. Because you got to be good at it. I was talking to a woman the other day, and she has her business, and I was shocked. She has her business. She goes, "It's a very successful business." She says, "We have gross revenue of this." I'm like, "Yeah, and what's your net? What's your net revenue?" She goes, I don't know." I'm like, "You're kidding me. You're kidding me. You may be going broke. You don't even know it." So women, get over any fear of not knowing the numbers and my eyes glaze over and I'm not interested in money. Well, then, just as I said, go try and buy a pair of shoes with no money. Good luck with that.
That's easy. That's easy. It's looking at this. You wish somebody else could be doing it.
Yeah. Yes.
But
yes.
But like you tell us to get big girls pants and get
Exactly.
Just deal with it. Thank you. So anyway, she has to just get at least one asset class and drill down, have an education on it, and
Yes. I mean, if it's stocks, if you like stocks, if you like paper assets, go buy a few shares of stock. Just go buy it and then go pay attention and watch it. Is it up, down? Same with silver and gold, as I mentioned earlier. Buy something, get in the game, but start small. Start small.
Yeah, get in the game. Get in the game. Okay, thank you. Now, on that, you talk about also ABC class investments. Now, could you tell us more about these categories and where should a new investor focus? Is it the same that you're answering here? What are ABC?
So ABC, that refers to real estate. There's an A property would be like a high-end property, a luxury apartment would be an A, and then it goes all the way down B, C, it could go to D. So D would be like low income. C would be a little bit higher than that. We tend to focus on between B and C, because when the market shifts, if there's a turn in the market, a downturn in the market, the people that are in the luxury A real estate tend to downsize to the Bs, and the Bs tend to downsize to the Cs. And I don't want to be in, I'm not in low income housing, because that's just a lot of more problems than I want to deal with. So you have to understand what category of real estate you want to focus on. We've been successful in the Bs and Cs, right in between there.
Okay, that's good. Thank you. And I had you talk about this formula: income minus expenses equals to net operating income. And this is one minus debt. That's the mortgage, if it's a mortgage payment.
Yes.
It's a formula that you use in investment, real estate investment, is it?
Yeah.
Would you use it elsewhere?
Oh yeah, you'd use it everywhere. So it's a cash flow formula. So I'll talk about real estate. It could be business. It could be other investments. So in real estate, you have your income, you have your rents come in, and then you have your expenses, all the expenses that go. Let's say it's a single family house, all the expenses, the insurance, the taxes, all of that. That's your NOI, net operating income. Why net operating income is important is because that is the number the banks look at, the lenders look at when they're going to give you a loan. They're going to look at your net operating income. That determines how much money they're going to lend you. So it's really important to ask the question on income. How do I increase my income? What can I do on this property to bring in more income, to raise the rent? What can I offer a tenant that would bring in more income? Expenses, people think the question is, how do I cut expenses? That's not the question. The question is, how do I spend money most effectively to increase the value of the property? It's not just about cutting expenses, because you could drop the value of your property and then your NOI goes down. So after your net operating income, so it's income minus expenses, that equals your net operating income, less your debt, your mortgage, and that determines whether you have a positive or a negative cash flow. If you manage the property right and correctly and well, you'll have a positive cash flow. If you manage it poorly, because property management is key to success in real estate, if you manage it poorly, you're going to have a negative cash flow. So that's the formula for cash flow of anything. It's very simple. It's really quite simple, not complicated.
Yeah, you simplified it really. And it's a way that I think every woman should be able to really deal with that. You're able to see your income, go to your expenses, and that should equal to your NOI, sorry.
NOI,
That's your net operating income. And then you take off your mortgage payment.
Correct.
Yes. Oh, fantastic. Thank you. I got that from you. I thought I'd better ask you to elaborate on that to make it clear, because it seems simple, but how many of us are aware on its simplicity? Yes.
And people, go ahead. Well, people think, how do I analyze a property? How do I analyze if it's a good property or bad property? That's very simply it. That's all you have to focus on, those main points. That's pretty much it.
Very good. So we should go and start today. So simple.
Yeah. Go look at some deals. They're fun. I just drove around my neighborhood the first time. I just drove around the neighborhood looking at properties, and then you'd see signs out and, for sale signs, and you'd call the broker and you just start talking. Even though I knew nothing, I didn't know anything. I didn't know what questions to ask. I thought you get on the phone and you start talking and you find out stuff. Yeah. Again, it talks about taking action. You got to do something. You got to move. You got to go get in motion.
You have to move. And that's very important. With that, actually, I had the question for you. You talk about the triple A?
Triple A, yes. It's rising time.
Yes, it's rising time. Triple A, aspire, acquire, and apply.
Yes.
Now, for a woman who has already acquired the knowledge and has applied to the best of their ability, but they don't see anything moving, what advice would you give?
Oh, okay. Well, that's a good question. Okay, so aspire, acquire, and apply is the AAA triangle that I do, and it's rising time. So you aspire, you have a dream, you have a goal, and then you acquire the information, knowledge you need. And then you apply that information and knowledge and you do something. Okay. So if you are doing that, if you've done those 3 steps and you don't have results, you're missing one key point. Yes. And I should add this maybe in the next time I write this book. You're missing feedback. Every action that you take, so when you apply, when you do something, every action that you take, there is feedback. Yes. So like you put your finger on a hot stove and you burn it. That's feedback. Yes. You smile at somebody and they smile back. That's feedback. Yes. Too often we miss the feedback. So if this person is done the aspire, acquire, and she's applying and nothing's happening, she's not paying attention to her feedback. Okay. Every time you have an action, look for the feedback, look for the response. And sometimes it's tiny, sometimes it's small things. But pay attention, be aware, be conscious of the feedback that you're getting. Because, for example, if you launch a new product and it doesn't sell, they're giving you feedback. Something needs to change. Okay. If you launch a product and it's highly successful and everybody wants it, that's also feedback. So every time you take action, there will be feedback. So I think I need to add that to the book.
Oh, fantastic. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much.
It's actually one of the key. It really is a key. It's like when you make a mistake, there's feedback. You have a view. What's the lesson? What did I learn? What did I miss? What is it what's this trying to tell me? And the feedback is really one of the most important steps.
It is. It is. We shouldn't miss it. Should
No.
always get feedback all the time.
Yes. Yep.
And that can make a change. So I hope if you're listening or watching this, you're able to actually make a decision to, pick up the feedback. Get the feedback.
Yes.
And utilize it. Thank you for that. Now, there's something you mentioned that our financial well-being or wealth does not exactly depend on the economy. I think it's in time. It's in rising time.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that we always think the economy is the driving force of our financial position.
Yeah.
Can you elaborate on that so that we can now take ownership of this issue? We wanted to give it to the economy. It's easy to say it's the economy, it's not us.
Yeah, it is. It is. And I could go into a whole macroeconomic spiel on this, and I'm not going to go there. But because the economy actually is not necessarily a real economy anymore. It's a financial economy. But that's a whole nother story. So I can't control the global economy. I can't control the economy of the US. I can control my own personal economy. I can control what happens to me and what I do with it. So I'm not going to be concerned if they're raising interest rates. You know what? I can still, when I did my very first property, the interest rates were like 10 and 11%. I still cash flowed a property. So people use excuses, exactly as you said, Stella. You want to blame the economy. You want to blame the interest rates. I'm not going to invest because of the interest rates. Well, I can still find a property that cash flows at higher interest rates. So you've got it. It's about you and your economy, your family's economy. What can you do? You have skills, you have talents, you have gifts, you have a brain, you have a mind that can access information. So what are you going to do? Stop worrying what the economy does, because the economy is going crazy right now. It's stupid. It's just stupid. And I don't even listen to the news anymore. I get upset with it because it's so crazy and it's so outlandish. I know many people who are moving to other countries. I mean, it's crazy what's going on. So I'm only going to stick with what I can control.
Yes.
All the assets I buy, they're tangible assets that I control. I can't control what Microsoft does and how many employees they have. Yeah. I can't control what the government is going to do with interest rates. But I can control my real estate. I can control my income. I can control my business. I can control all my other investments. Some I can get on the phone and talk with the owners of the companies I've invested in and have that conversation. I want to be in control. I'm a little bit of a control freak. So you're in control of your own personal economy. Know that. No, you can't blame anybody else for your financial situation. You could, blame whoever did whatever to you, or did somebody, or did it come back to you? I'm of the belief that every problem in my life is self-created. It's usually my fault. Yes. So if you can come from that point of view, that what did I do to create this? Yes. So that's why I'm saying I don't spend a lot of time worrying what the economy is going to do, the grand economy, the global economy, the US economy, the country economy. I'm going to focus on my own personal economy that I can control. Yeah, sure. So we have to stop blaming the economy. Yes. People love to make excuses because they don't want to do something. So they make an excuse and they blame somebody else. Yeah. That's the easy one today. Yeah. Everyone is crazy and everyone is in flow and the conversation continues and then you feel satisfied, but you're going to stay in the same position. Exactly. Is there any recession-proof investment? Any recession-proof investment? Yeah, like
where we know that, yeah, if you take that route, there's proof that you won't have
again, I want to focus on tangible things that I can control. I'm of the thought that, I just had a thought. Yes, people are going to need a roof over their head. So I think in many cases, real estate is recession proof. Now, rents can come up, rents can come down, interest rates can go up, and mortgage rates can go up and down. Yes, but overall, people need a roof over their head. People need energy, even though they're talking about this Green New Deal, that they're passing all this legislation that can never come into fruition because they can't create the materials and things that are needed, but I won't go into that right now. But people are going to need energy. So oil and gas is still alive and well. I personally like gold and silver. I like gold because gold is a real true storage of wealth. It has been from the day it was first mined. So I like to hold gold versus cash, because cash right now, they're printing so much money all over the world that the cash is becoming less and less valuable. The value of the US dollar has dropped. I can't even tell you how much in the last number of years. But the more they print of it, the less valuable it becomes. Gold holds its value. So I hold gold as a hedge against inflation. Silver, I like silver because silver is also real money, but it's also it's a consumable. It's used in so many products. It's used in computers, light bulbs. It's used in so many products that there will always be demand for silver. So I look at things like that. I look at what is going to be needed and is not going to disappear.
That's very good. Thank you for that. Yeah, gold now and silver.
I love gold. I love gold. and when I say gold, I'm talking about like a 1 ounce gold coin, a US eagle, a Canadian maple leaf, something like that, Australian kangaroo, a 1 ounce precious metal coin, not a collectible, not something that they said, oh, this was mined and such and it's worth this much. No, I just want the price of gold today is this, and this 1 ounce coin is that.
Yes. Fantastic. Thank you. Wow. We just had too many questions for you.
There were a lot of questions, Stella.
No, I had to stop somewhere, Kim. I had, but I was just like, but then what about this? I I felt like, oh, I would be shortcutting other people if I don't give them whatever Kim has.
Well, I tend to talk a lot, so that's I have a lot of stories.
Okay, thank you for that. Yes, what did I have for you again here? Yes, it's to do with the cash flow quadrant.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, and that's in cash flow. I think the book Cash Flow. Yeah,
it's in the cash flow, and there's a book called Cash Flow Quadrant that Robert wrote.
Yes, Cash Flow Quadrant. I read it there, but I also got it from Rich Woman Summit. You covered that.
Oh, yes, we talked about that, right? Exactly.
We covered that. Yep. So my question is to do with if someone is in the S quadrant, they found themselves somehow in the S, but they want to move to the B. And they feel that they're struggling to go to the B.
Yes.
Is there advice in which they can shift to go to the B?
That's a really good question, Stella. So for people that don't know what the cash flow quadrant is, it's about the 4 types of people in the world of business. So on the left side is E, stands for employee. That's you working for somebody else. Below that is S, self-employed. That's you working for yourself. And then on the right side of the quadrant is B, business owner. And that is other people and systems working for you. And below that is I for investor, which is your money working for you. So you're asking a good question, Stella, because the hardest transition to make is from S, self-employed, to business owner. And the reason being is the self-employed person is used to doing it themselves. Nobody does it better. If you want it done right, do it yourself. That's their mantra. That's what they live by. And so to trust other people to do it, they're oftentimes they're perfectionists, but to trust and bring on other people. To move to that B quadrant, you have to have a team. You're never going to become a business owner doing it yourself. There was a statistic that talked about the number of the biggest increase in the world of business was women-owned businesses. But the problem was 90% of those women-owned businesses had one employee, her. So yes, so to grow to the B quadrant, you've got to start building a team. That's number one. I would say the first person on your team should be a bookkeeper, number one, because they want somebody that's going to be very honest with you about your income and your expenses. And that's in business or that's in personal life. Hire a bookkeeper. You can hire him or her by the hour. But it's one of the most beneficial things I ever did, because it's very easy to lie about how much income you have and especially how much expenses you spend. Very easy to lie to yourself about that. So yes, so you're going to need a team, and then you're going to need systems. So going from S to B, I think, is more of a mindset change. And again, to start bringing on people and let them make mistakes, let them fail. We say in our company, if you're not making mistakes, you're not pushing yourself enough. We encourage people to make mistakes because that's where real learning and real growth happens. And if they're making the same mistake over and over, then that's another problem. That's a problem. But yes, team is crucial. You got to start trusting people, bringing them into and trusting them that they're going to do a job. They're probably not going to do it as well as you are. But you've got to start bringing in a team of people, because that's the only way you're going to get to the S quadrant. I mean, to the B quadrant, the business owner quadrant. It takes a lot. It's not easy. It took us, when we started Rich Dad, we were S. We were self-employed. It was just me and Robert. It took us 10 years to get from S to B. Yeah, it's not an overnight thing. Okay. It's going to happen. It's going to happen gradually as you bring on the first person, you bring on the next person, you start putting in systems. It's a great question, because it's the hardest transition to make.
Yeah, I think so. I really think so. People are aware. I know people who are very much aware that they are in the S. They really want to shift, but they're not getting there. They're not making it. Yeah. But it's also probably the problem is the self-employed person. The problem is probably with them. Yeah. Yes. It's also the fact that you don't think other people can do the job that you're doing. Correct. Yeah, very well. But you talk about the fact that it's teams. If you think about the team and then building the system. The systems. Hire a bookkeeper fast. Yes. I think those are great steps, definitely. And I hope people are picking up on those, and they should be able to make a change, make a shift. And I would just add that to look, if you're in a self-employed business, to look to yourself and ask yourself, do you trust people to do a job for you? Yes. You trust them to complete the job without you. That's a good one. Thank you. Now, after reading all the books and all of these things, I wanted to know, where would Kim rather be? Is it business or investment? Because if I look at it. Oh, yeah. I love them both. I do. I love them both. Our formula was, we built our business. We built the Rich Dad company. And actually, before that, we had another company. We would build our business, and the cash flow from the business would purchase our investments. So people often ask, should I focus on my business or my investments? Should I do them both at the same time? I would say first, what we did, I'll just tell you what we did. We focused on our business first and got it strong, got it stable. And then the cash flow that started coming off of the business is where we put into the investment column, into the investment quadrant. So I love them both. I was not planning on taking over as CEO of the Rich Dad company. This was almost 4 years ago. That was not my plan, but it was a needed thing. It happened. It had to happen. So I stepped in, and I'll tell you, it did definitely ignite my passion of entrepreneurship. I love working with teams. I love building things. I love creating. It's fun. We test, we make mistakes, we screw up, we learn, we have success. And then investing is
right now I'm actually in the process of looking for several properties right now as we talk. So yeah, I love them both. I like that right side of the quadrant. So one other point about the quadrant. So E and S, employee, self-employed, is the left-hand side. People on the left-hand side are looking for financial security.
Yes.
Okay. People on the right, business owner, investor, they're looking for freedom. Yes. So you have security and you have freedom. That's the difference.
Oh, great. That's a good addition. Thank you very much for adding that. Thank you. Yes. Oh, fantastic. And when you look at your investment, how broad is that? How, in terms of real estate, how much do you have?
How much do we have? Oh my goodness. Oh, I'm guessing real estate. Well, we have commercial too. We have commercial. We have different kinds, but in terms of like apartments, I don't know, 7,000, 8,000 units, maybe.
Wow.
But it started with a little 2-bedroom, 1-bath house. That's where it started. And that's what you got to do. Just start small, because you have that first success and then you go, wow, I can do this. And you do it again and you do it again and you do it again. Yeah. It started there. It didn't happen overnight. I don't know anybody that's successful, Stella, in business or in investing that was an overnight success. Everybody I know who is successful and has sustained it has gone through the process, the journey. There weren't a lot of shortcuts. The only shortcut I know in that world is to find great mentors. If you find a great mentor who has done what it is you want to do and learn from them, that's one short step. I mean, what did I say? Anyhow, that's one shortcut. Thank you. Shortcut. That's one shortcut. Yeah. Yes. Finding great people and finding great teachers. I have coaches and mentors for every area of my life.
Wow. Mm-hmm. Coaches and mentors for every area. There you are.
Yeah. Fitness, health, money, business, investing. Yeah.
Oh, wow. That's great. That's a great eye opener for us. We think you're there and you're doing it by yourself.
No. I met with one of my mentors just a couple days ago. Yep. And he puts me on. He asked me the hard questions. He makes me look at things I don't want to look at. And that's priceless. So again, it goes to, who are you surrounding yourself with? You know, who are you spending the most time with? And are those people pushing you forward towards your growth, or are they kind of holding you back?
Thank you for that. Wow. An eye opener. Because at one point I remember you talked about the fact that you had 50 and you are looking for someone to manage them, who one of your business partners.
Yes. Yep. I was managing all these units. I had like 50 units, and I couldn't buy any more property because I didn't have time to manage any more properties because I was doing it all myself. I was in the S quadrant. And so I met Kenny McElroy. Robert and I met Ken McElroy, and he was in the property management business. And I'm like, and he had the exact same values and formula. He was all about cash flow. He did exactly what we did. And I'm like, oh, thank God. Would you manage my properties for me? And he said, no. And I'm like, well, why not? And he's like, because we only manage properties of 120 units or more. And the biggest property I had at the time was 30 units. I'm like, okay. So speaking of mentors, what that did is it forced us to go buy our next property, which was over 120 units. And then he could manage it. So that it immediately increased the size of our investments, the cash flow from our investments. It took us to a new level of investing, and we got a great partner. We've done so many deals with Ken and his partner, Ross. But it's because he pushed me to go beyond where I was. And that's a true mentor.
That's a great one. Thank you for sharing that. Now, one of the things that opened my eyes was to when you covered passive and being an active participant in an investment.
Yes. Yep.
And I think there are areas where I have been where I'm passive, like in some of the investment, and yet I expect a high return or a good return, and my evaluation is this is poor, but I'm not active. So does it always mean that we need to, if we want to get more out of anything, we need to be more active in an investment?
I think you'll be more successful and you're going to learn more. So a quick story, Robert and I, we have our Rich Dad podcast, Rich Dad radio show. And we were interviewing a gentleman and he's very successful in real estate. And we were talking about, you got to start small because that's where you're going to learn. You're going to make mistakes. That's how you're going to get your knowledge and your experience. So you have to start small. He says, well, no, you don't. He goes, no, you can invest in one of my deals. I do like mega apartment buildings and mega condo projects, and you can just invest in one of my deals. And I'm like, well, they can just give you money. Yes, they can give you money, but they don't learn anything. And then they're no smarter other than they're going to get maybe some cash flow if you do a good job. We got in a fight on this podcast. I'm like, that so goes against everything I believe in. Is like to blindly turn your money over and hope and pray that this person does what they say they're going to do, to me is stupid. That's just my opinion. It's just stupid. I want to always be an active investor, and passive is just blindly turning your money over to somebody else and hope and pray that they give you your money back with a return. But an active investor is responsible, is out there learning, is doing, is hands-on, and actually learning the process. And for me, that's how I feel. To be a successful investor, that's what you need to do. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for that. Now, you talk about starting as women, and I'm thinking about that. You recommend starting an investment group where we can bring in people who have moved, who are doing the work, to come and talk to us, for example.
Yes.
What is the key to success of such a group, if I was going to start?
Oh, okay. Yeah, two things to that, Stella. I think one of the keys is that they're like-minded, that you have like-minded women and they have similar goals and similar aspirations. So because you're going to be learning from each other. That's one of the keys. The second part, and I would be because I know there's a lot of investment groups out there, and the women come together and they pool their money together to buy an investment. I'm not a fan of that, because money is a very psychotic subject. And if something goes wrong and all of a sudden somebody's having a problem and they need to get out of a deal, it's very difficult. So I'm very wary of people getting together who do not know each other that well, maybe in the start, or don't have any money experience together. And they're like, oh, this would be fun. You're my best friend. Let's go buy a property together. And then something goes wrong, the friendship blows up. I'm not a fan of investing with family and friends. Yeah. So be wary of that. When I do investment groups, it's purely education. We learn together. We would bring deals in and discuss them. Like everybody would bring a deal and we would discuss it, what works, what doesn't work. And I'm not saying you're not going to end up possibly investing with somebody in the group. That's up to you. But that is not how I would not form the group for that purpose. I would form it for education. Yeah.
Thank you. And now let's just ask quickly, what does success look like to you? Is it the same as financial freedom?
It is very, very similar. Yeah, it's a rich life, and it's rich in all ways possible. One thing right now that I hadn't realized before how important it is my community of friends, my community that I surround myself in is very important to a rich life, or to financial success, financial freedom. That's a very important component to me, which I wouldn't have said that 5 years ago. Okay. But that's kind of new that pops up. So it's whatever it means to you.
Yes, good. Yeah. Thank you.
But it does have to include money. It has to include cash flow for me. For me, it must include cash flow. I am the queen of cash flow.
That's where freedom comes from.
Yes.
That's true. That's true. Now, one of the aspects that we women struggle with is the fear of failure and any form of criticism. We worry about that. So that's why we don't even go into the aspire aspect.
Yeah.
So with the fear of failure being a big one, what is your view about it?
It's essential. Failure is your greatest gift. And it's about reprogramming your mind to think this way. Because when I make a mistake, I don't like to make a mistake, but then I step back and I'm like, what's the lesson? What didn't I see? A mistake or a failure just shows you something you did not know. That's all it is. It just shows you something you did not know. The only way a human being learns is by making mistakes, by failing. You fall down, you get up. You ride a bicycle, you fall off. You get back up, you learn how to ride a bicycle, but you have to fail and fall off and fall down and make mistakes in order to succeed. It's the same. That's the only way a human being is designed to grow and to learn, is by making mistakes, by failing. I won't go into a lot of stories, but there's a lot of stories out there of major failures that turned into incredible successes because of what they learned through the failures. So I like to say to people, make more mistakes, make them quickly, and learn from every mistake. If you don't learn from a mistake, then it's a waste of a mistake.
Yes. Make them quickly.
Make them quickly. Make a lot of them. It's the only way you're going to start growing. You put yourself in positions that make you feel a little uncomfortable. You know, you get that little queasiness in your stomach. But boy, when you have that breakthrough, that's where real true growth and transformation happen.
Yeah, growth. Yes.
Yeah, the question is, are you growing or are you dying, basically?
Yes. Oh, thank you for that. Thank you. So having worked with many women, apart from this fear of failure, what do you think is stopping women from achieving their financial dreams or succeeding in anything that they desire?
Other than the fear of failing?
Yes.
I think, you know, I talked about that women are often taught to be dependent. So I think a thing that holds women back is that they don't think they're smart enough.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so easy. I mean, education is so easy. There's so much out there. It's hard sometimes to know where to start, but you know, they start with Rich Woman. Start with your program. The being smart enough, that's just a lie you're telling yourself. It's just a lie, because you are. I know. I can tell you hundreds of very successful women investors, hundreds. And plus the confidence that comes once you start doing this and once you start understanding it, the confidence, the self-esteem soars. So there's a lot of benefits other than just money that you get from accomplishing this. And the other thing I think that holds women back is they think they have to have a lot of money in order to start investing. And that's also not true. Matter of fact, when Robert and I started investing, we didn't have any money. Yes, when I had to come up with that $5,000, we had to get very, very creative. And probably the first 5 properties we bought, we did not have the money. So that's why I like to say, find the investment first, whether it's real estate, whatever it is, touch it, feel it, find it, see it sitting there. And then you're going to get excited about it. And then you put your mind to work and say, how can I get this? How can I do it? So find the investment first. Don't worry about getting the money first. People say, oh, well, when I get the money, then I'll invest. Well, there's always something that takes your money. There's always an emergency that comes up or something that happens and that you spend your money on. So I always say, you know, find the money first. I mean, find the investment first and then figure out how to get the money.
Yes. Thank you very much. Find the investment first, then figure out the money. So yes, so that's very good. You've elaborated on other things that could stop women from getting their financial freedom. Have you failed at anything before? And what was it? And how did you get it? Have you failed at something?
Have I failed? Oh my God, hundreds and thousands of times every day. We were working on a project. I think we just cracked it yesterday at the Rich Dad Company. We created this whole initiative, and after we created it, we found our assumption was totally wrong. What we based our entire initiative on, the foundation, was wrong. And we're like, oh my God, we've just spent all this time and money, and now as a result of that failure and that mistake, we have taken this project to a level that we had never dreamed of was possible. So that's the beauty of mistakes and failures. But you got to get in, you got to go do something. You got to do it. And then if it fails, then look at it and go, why did it fail? Because all you're doing is getting smarter.
Yes. smarter.
Yeah, I feel, I can't tell you how many times, Stella, every day, every single day.
Yeah. Every single day.
Every single day.
Oh, amazing. Thank you, Kim. And yes, so if we have, what challenges have you faced on the journey of wealth building?
Oh, everything from bad partners to lawsuits to losing money, making money. I have had more life experiences than I ever dreamed possible. And every time I come out of it smarter, more knowledgeable, more experienced. It's just, I look at it this way now, Stella, it's very different than I used to look at things. When something happens that seems negative, I'm like, okay, this is just another life experience being put in front of me for me to learn from.
Yeah.
And I do my best. I'm not always good at it, but I do my best to keep my emotions and my reactions out of it. I can't say I do it all the time by any means, but I just look at it. Okay, I'm being given this gift called disaster, whatever it is. And I'm like, and I need to figure out what to do and how to overcome this. And I'm going to learn so much. Yeah, that's kind of a new approach I've taken over only the last couple of years, really. It's like, okay, here we go again. Let's do it.
Let's do it. A gift called disaster.
Yeah.
It's just a gift.
That's a good title for a book, The Gift Called Disaster. I like that.
That's so good. Amazing. Thank you for opening up for that and sharing it. So as a woman operating from the top, at the top, and now the CEO, especially at the CEO level, we know that you're always making important decisions. Please share with the Stellar Woman subscribers the lessons you've learned about decision making.
About decision making. Yeah. Couple things that I do. First of all, I'm not the only one making a decision. I mean, the final decision always ends with me, but in making decisions, I bring my team in, I bring my team together, I bring my experts in. I'm not alone individual making these decisions by any means. I count on my team. They know, it's interesting when we have our team meetings, I mean, everybody's there. Everybody in the company is there. And all of a sudden we're having this meeting and these ideas start popping up from people. You'd go, what in the world? We had a great marketing idea from our accountant. I'm like, what? So I love the synergy that happens when you bring a group of people together and people that we trust. I trust everybody on our team, and people that are aligned to the mission. So I think that's probably the key to the decision making in our company. I've also found that my way of operating was not necessarily conducive to success, which was act first and think later. That was my decision making process. I acted and then I thought. So now I get the team together. I say, what about this idea? And they go, well, let's look at the consequences. Have you thought about this? Have you thought about this? I'm like, no, I haven't thought about any of that. I just thought it was a good idea. So I do that. The other thing I do if there's like a problem in the company, like something pops up, and especially if it's a person, like somebody, I get a call, somebody just said this about the Rich Dad company, and I think they're, and it was hurting. It was like it was like bad PR. So I get the person, I immediately will get on the phone and talk to the person who is the source of the problem immediately. I don't let things fester. I'm very transparent, and I don't do well, worrying about stuff. If there's something being said or something being done, I get on the phone immediately and address it. I'm not good at sitting on things.
Yeah. Okay. That's good. Thank you. So is that about decision making? So with those two, it's aligning the team, making sure the team is part and parcel of the decision making.
Yeah, this team, the synergy that comes from the team is amazing. And
Yes.
they come up with much better ideas than I have.
Yeah. Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you. And what else did we want to ask you? And so, yes, if we give you a magic wand today to change something in the world, what change would you like to bring to the world?
Oh, a magic wand. I wish I had a magic wand. I would like to see the world go back to free markets, free trade, entrepreneurship, capitalism, operate as a business, operate logically, get rid of the emotions, deal with facts. Deal with the facts, not the emotion, not the opinions, deal with facts. That would be my wish.
Yeah. Okay.
Get back to free trade and free markets and bring on capitalism because it works.
It works. Okay, good. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. And if we want to know, are there any women who have helped you on your way to the top?
Well, that's a really good question, because as I said earlier, I was raised that gender is not a factor in success.
Yeah.
So I just look for the best people to learn from. I'd love it to be women. Yes, there have been some very influential women in my life, absolutely. Yet people often ask me, well, if you're going to put this team together, you better have some women on it. I'm like, well, if they're the best, yeah. I want the best people around me.
Yeah.
So, yeah, but there's been my mom is number one by far. She taught me when I was 9 years old. She said, Kim, if you don't want to spend your life in the kitchen, don't learn how to cook. I'm like, okay, Mom. I still, to this day, I don't know how to cook. And then she said, and this is in when there was typewriters, and when women were secretaries and nurses and teachers, she said, and if you don't want to be a secretary, don't learn how to type. And what she was telling me is Kim, do not put yourself in a box. Do not go along with this stigma of what a woman is, the stereotype of what a woman is. Be anything you want to be, do anything you want to be. That's how I was raised. So she and my dad was very similar in that respect. But she encouraged me to really go for my dreams. I think it started right there.
It was just right there. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. And where do we see you going forward beyond today?
Oh boy.
What is on the mission? Mission Kim, what's coming? What should we expect?
You know what? I can't even say that. I mean, I'm as I said, I'm just launching my new podcast called the Rich Life Podcast.
Yes.
I can't even. Right now.
Can you say that again? Is it Rich Life? Yeah, Rich Life.
The Rich Life Podcast. Yeah. I live a pretty spontaneous life. It sounds like there's a lot of structure to it, but it's not really. And there's so many opportunities that are coming that I never would have imagined. So I almost don't create like, this is where I want to be in 5 years. I don't do that. It's like, I just I'm pretty much day to day almost in like what's going to unfold today, who's going to show up today. Just this last week, I had 2 meetings with different people that I never expected to meet that were great meetings. And there's going to probably be something out of it. So I'd like to live my life that way. And I haven't always by any means, but I'm always looking for the opportunity, looking to meet new people, make new connections. And like I said, we have a couple opportunities that they look like they came out of the blue. And so I'm like, okay, let's pursue that. So I can't tell you where I'm going to be in 5 or 10 years. I have no idea.
That's very good. It's a good one, actually. It's very good to live your life a little bit open to allow opportunity.
Exactly. That's exactly right, Stella.
Thank you. And how do you create a work-life balance? Because I think this is something that women struggle with. I don't know if we call it work-life, but how do we bring ourselves to manage life and work?
Okay. I don't think there is a balance. I don't. I think when I'm working, I'm all in. And when I'm playing, I'm all in. So I don't know if there's really a balance. Somebody once said to me, they said, okay, let's talk about being balanced. She said, stand up and be balanced. So I stood up, had my feet on the floor. She goes, okay, so when you're balanced, you're not moving. She goes, now take a step. And I take a step, and so my foot comes off the floor. She goes, okay, stop right there. Now you're unbalanced, but you're moving forward. So I think of balance as being almost detrimental in some ways. It's a very different take, and I don't know if this makes sense, but I always want to be, I really almost want to be unbalanced, because then I'm moving forward.
Yes, if you look at it that way, definitely, then you're moving forward. Yeah. Okay, so you're either all in whichever side of life. Thank you.
Yeah, whatever I'm doing, I want to be, as best possible, whatever I'm doing at the moment, I want to be 100% doing that.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you. And if you had to take you back in time, what lessons would you give to your 15-year-old self? What key lesson, message would you give her?
That's a good question. Make more mistakes. Do not be afraid of mistakes. Make more mistakes. School teaches us that mistakes are bad. So if I'm 15, I'm still in school, I would say make mistakes. That's the only way you're going to learn and grow. And don't worry so much about what people think of you.
Yeah, fantastic. You would be happy with that. People think about you. Wow, thank you. And do you have a life mantra?
I do since I was a little kid. It's very simple. Life is meant to be joyous. That is my mantra. It's been that way since I was like, I don't know, maybe 7 years old, 8 years old. I've always had it. Life is meant to be joyous.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Now, we would like you to leave a message, and we're so grateful for your time, to the Stellar Woman listeners, subscribers, to help them to start building their wealth. Sort of a challenge, not a message, a challenge. We would like you to leave a challenge for them to get on the journey of building their wealth.
Yes. Okay. Yes. Well, number one, I want to thank everybody that's watching, because you're already taking a step towards your financial education, which is crucial. So just being here, there's a lot of things you could do with your time, but you're here. And I think one of the challenges I would give you is look at what you're doing with your free time. And people say, I don't have free time. I have no free time. Well, map out your day as you're going through. What did you do hour by hour or minute by minute? Map it out what you did. And you're going to find in there was time that was free and you chose to do something, whatever it was, watch TV or play a video game or whatever it was. Look at what you do in your spare time, and then take that spare time and commit to financial education. Commit to reading a book or watching podcasts or going online and studying things, talking to people, meeting people, going to investment groups, anything, whatever it is. Take that free time that you have and commit to your financial education. Commit to your own financial freedom. And I love what you said. I love, Stella, what you said at the beginning of a show, that you're here to make the world a better place. I'm all in on that. We need to make the world a better place. And I think more financially free, financially secure women will make the world a better place. Definitely, definitely. And after watching this show, I'm sure many of us are going to change. We're changing tonight. We're changing tonight. I love it. First of all, if you have a spare time and you've listened to this, like Kim has just said, that's your first step. But also you have new homework to do. Go on to Rich Dad Radio or podcast, isn't it? Mm-hmm. Yes. And Kim is about to. Have you launched it yet? Not yet. We're going to probably launch in next month. Yep. Next month. Oh, yes. Congratulations to that. We look forward to that. So that's also another one to add on to your plate for your spare time, which will be easy to be able to drill deeper into what Kim shares in both her books and in all the different projects that she does, the Rich Dad business, where you can also learn from. And I actually have
Also this one here as
Oh,
well.
no. Oh, you got an original one. Wow, you got an old one. I love it. I love it.
It's so old.
That's so
Yeah,
great.
it's the first
That's
one.
so great.
So, yeah, so it's so good to enrich ourselves, but also to actually take action, because most of these things we read, but when you go back to them, you find that, okay, you've had that before, but where are you today? So it's important that you take action, you make a change. So thank you so much, Kim, for your time.
Oh, thank you, Stella. Thank you, everybody, for watching.
I'm going to just take a quick picture for us. Yeah, so it has been great really having you, Kim, and you sparing all this time, being generous with your knowledge, and being here to share deeply into helping us to build our wealth and getting financial freedom. That whatever it means to you, that's what Kim aims for you. So thank you so much, Kim. It has been great. And thank you everyone for listening and being with us here on the Stellar Woman Show. Keep attuned. You can follow us on Twitter, on Facebook, on LinkedIn. And also, I think Kim is on Twitter. You can follow.
Yes, I am. Yep.
Yes,
Twitter,
hashtag
YouTube.
Rich
Yep.
Woman. Yes, and in YouTube, you can follow her on all these places. Is there anything else where they can follow you, Kim?
Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, Rumble. Yep. Kim Kiyosaki.
Okay, yeah, thank you. Thank you very much. So until next time, ladies, keep watching and keep being more stellar. We love you so much. Bye-bye.